Hello and welcome to this very special MadTech podcast from Cannes. I'm delighted to be joined by Vicky and Caroline from the 7Stars. Guys, welcome. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful balcony.
Thank you for having us.
Great setting.
You're very welcome. First off, just give a little introduction to yourselves and what you do at 7Stars.
Great. So I'm Caroline Fucker. I'm joint head of planning at the 7Stars, so looking after a department of about 100 people. We're newly appointed as well, so prior to that I was a client planning partner looking after a smaller team and a bunch of different clients.
Amazing.
Great. I'm Caroline's counterpart, Vicky Crouch-Marlow. Basically running the planning team alongside Caroline. We've been doing it a couple of months now. Excited to be in this new role.
Amazing. Well, congratulations on the new roles, the new role that you both have, and thank you again for joining me today. We can have a little chat about the media landscape and the world of media planning. First up, I'll go to you, Co. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing media planners at the moment?
I'd say there's a lot at the moment. It feels like it's quite a period of flux for the industry, but I would say the biggest challenge is the obsession over short-termism. And we have to be really careful with that because obviously performance is really key for our clients, but we are kind of finding a real shift from clients looking 2-3 years ahead to right now, performance right now. And I think the most important thing is balancing that. So at the 7Stars, our kind of ethos is very much about what is happening now is really important, but also we need to have one eye on the future. And the challenge with the obsession of the short-termism is it does suck some of the creativity out of the industry, and that's one of the reasons we all love it. And it can't just be creativity for the sake of creativity, but equally we know from things like The Extraordinary Cost of Dull how important it is to be creative and how important that is to brands, brand growth and brand health. So it just is the challenge of delivering on what clients want right now, but also making sure we can set ourselves up for both in the future as well.
Definitely. What do you think, Vicky?
I think there's a real, the industry is becoming so fragmented and so many silos that the real diversification of questions that media planners are being asked for from clients. I mean, one day you can be asked a question around, proven ROI of delivery trucks to, the next day of how do I set this campaign live within 24 hours. There's a real spectrum of what planners are now having to kind of deal with and make sure that they have the skills and the resources to be able to answer those questions efficiently, or even how we make up that, how we structure the department in such a way that there are certain people that you can go to who are specialists in different areas. That's kind of a key thing that we're having to do now.
Yeah, so I suppose, like you say, it's a very fragmented landscape. There's a lot to consider. I suppose the big question is how are you overcoming these challenges and how are you kind of going about it in your role at the 7Stars? Vicky?
Yeah, I'd say so. One of the things that we like to do and how we work with our clients is what we call kind of team today and team tomorrow. So that's very much having a focus team on the actual campaign planning, delivery of what you're doing over the next 6 months, let's say, and then we have a kind of strategic vision team that supports our clients that gets they're much more kind of top to top level conversations where we can help drive that kind of strategic vision forwards for our clients. And it just means that you're using your resource and your kind of skill set in the best possible way for our clients.
Yeah, what do you think, Helen?
Yeah, I would only build that we've also invested a lot in measurement in the last, many years, but I think we've now got to a point where we've got our own attribution tool and enabling us to be able to actually prove the worth of what we're doing in performance stuff helps us be able to unlock conversations around, okay, well, let's also use some budget let's also look a little bit further ahead about those things as well. So almost by getting the hygiene level of measurement and proven effectiveness right, it then gives us the license to be able to build the trust with the clients to also take a few risks on some of the other kind of parts of their media plan. So it's about balancing those two things.
Yeah, definitely. Do you find, you've touched on it a little bit already, but are you finding clients' demands are changing given how fragmented everything is? Are you finding that clients want everything all at once, or how have you seen that evolve as platforms are fragmented, different new innovations have come about, and how's that changed for you, Vicky?
They're very much reliant, I'd say, on agencies more so than they ever have been before. We really do feel that we're kind of an extension to that marketing team. I would say also that clients are trying to navigate, we're just part of a marketeer's day, and they're having to navigate loads more stuff than just media agencies. So leaning on us even more. One of the bigger questions that we seem to be getting is how do we connect paid and earned across the full funnel? That seems to be a massive kind of trending topic for our clients at the moment. So having a structural framework by which you can answer, all of those different questions across the whole ecosystem and how everything connects together is really important.
I also don't know whether it's just because of COVID, but the speed in which things are required seems to have definitely exasperated over the last few years. So everything is like, we need it right now, we need it right now. And coupled with much more scrutiny on what media budget's been spent on. So it feels more now that when we're being asked for things, we're being asked not by the marketing team, but by the marketing team who've been asked by an FD or by the finance team. They're having to kind of report back. So the way that we are responding to certain requests, I think we're having to look at it through the lens of like speaking the language of the CFO rather than a marketer's like response to a marketing team. So I would say, yeah, the speed in which clients are asking things has become more demanding. But also I just think it's more challenging for marketeers at the moment, and they're having a tougher time in their own companies justifying their budgets and their resource, and everything is going via kind of a lens of, again, immediate kind of ROI and finance. So it's definitely changed the shape of the demands that we're getting.
Yeah, I can imagine. The measurement issue has become such a big one. I think you used to be able to talk about kind of the brand awareness campaigns and kind of the more ethereal good for the company, but now it has to be very much quantified. Are you guys finding that across the board?
Yeah, absolutely. And even so, the brand metrics now it used to be enough to talk about or measure the brand metrics and be like, oh, those are the brand metrics, and everyone knows the worth of those. Whereas now it's like, still relate that back to an immediate ROI, or still give us a ROAS against that, or prove how much it's going to grow by. So it does feel like I love the world of effectiveness that we're now in and how well we can measure everything, but it does feel like sometimes they're applying kind of the wrong measurements to some of the pieces that are less easily measured in that way, which I just think is making it quite challenging.
Yeah, and the triangulation of all of the different data sources is super important. We have a kind of process by which we do that at 7Stars called Signal. And it really kind of takes everything from leading indicators to the triangulation of, econometrics, and brings everything together. I'd say that there's almost too much data now. So one of the things that, planners and the activation teams are having to really understand is what are we all here to do, and just keep that North Star really clear within our data visualization platforms and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough in terms of too much data out there, and I can imagine it's easy for people to lose focus on the audience, which is ultimately the most important thing in terms of when you're planning who you want to reach, and you need to know where the guys are and where the eyes are really. So yeah, I think the data is incredibly important, but also can really mix things up and really kind of shift that North Star, like you say, kind of lose focus on it. Obviously, technology is also playing a part in that, and I've been walking up and down like Rosette, and every billboard is talking about an AI advertising solution. I've heard the word agentic millions of times already in 2 days since being here. What technologies do you think are being kind of overhyped, or maybe those that are being under-discussed at the moment, Caroline?
So obviously we couldn't have done the whole podcast without mentioning AI. You're right to raise it. I would say, so AI is an interesting one. We were discussing it the other day, a group of us, and it feels like AI has actually been used in media for a while, but obviously now it's having some amazing, like the year of mobile. It's the year of AI, and it's being used across like lots of different platforms. We've been using it already. Obviously now it's come along a long way, and we do need to kind of think about strategically what is our AI approach as an agency and how we use it for our clients. But I do wonder if it's going to become one of those things like with mobile. I remember at Mindshare when we set up a mobile specific team, we had a whole team of people that just focused on mobile, and now obviously mobile just becomes part of everything that we do across the digital teams. I would say I can see AI doing the same. Like at the moment, you're probably seeing agencies have pop-up teams of like the AI team or team looking at AI, but actually where we're going to get to is that AI will just become part of everything we do at the agency, and is already baked into a bunch of systems and platforms and media partners that we use anyway. So I'm not saying AI is overhyped, don't quote me on that, But I think the way that we're talking about it will evolve, and it will stop becoming this like separate thing, and will just become part of the bread and butter of what we do every day.
Yeah, I think it's evolving so quickly that the companies that are investing in massive AI products, you know, who's to say that that's actually going to be the right thing right now? Because in 15 months' time, you know, everything's going to be able to do the same stuff. One of the things that we, I guess, pride ourselves on really at the 7Stars is that we are completely tech agnostic. You know, so there isn't, we never shoehorn our clients into using a specific thing, or you know, we have a strategy where we can flex and ebb and flow based on what our clients' requirements are, which I think is quite a nice position to be in, because you know that you're doing the right thing for the client, not the right thing for the agency.
Yeah, and I think to answer your question around what perhaps might need more attention or is going to be here to stay, I would definitely say in the measurement space, I don't think attribution has been given enough attention in the past. So we focused a lot on econometrics and models that obviously are not fit for purpose with some of the channels that we use today in the digital world. So I would say we've designed a attribution tool, 7DDA, which is allowing us to properly understand the user journey of getting to the point of purchase or whatever the transaction might be. That feels like something that as an industry perhaps has always been hovering, but hasn't maybe been given the full attention that it deserves. So I'd like to see us as an industry continue to focus on that bit.
Excellent. Yeah, I think it's already becoming more and more important. There's very, very interesting work to doing that and it kind of forms with showing clients what your work's really achieving for them.
Yeah. And you'd be kind of amazed at how many clients are still quite focused on a last click principle.
Yeah.
Amazed. Particularly when you think how much money is going into media. It's like you must be able to prove this.
It must be better than last click, surely.
Yeah.
Final question before I leave you to this beautiful sunshine and bring off down La Croisette. What are you most excited to hear about at Cannes this week? What do you think are going to be the hot topics?
So I don't want to jump straight into the AI pool, but what I think is going to be the theme is generally like how we don't use the human element with AI. So I think a lot of campaigns and a lot of talks are going to be all around like how to use tech, and it's like how do you balance that with we are an industry of art and science. Like the science is getting incredibly complex and brilliant, very sophisticated, but let's not lose the art element. So I'd like to see how different companies are getting that right balance of like, yes, the tech's amazing and yes, AI is brilliant and it's going to do X, Y, and Z, but let's not forget we're a human first industry, and how do we not lose sight of that in this new era?
Yeah, I think mine's actually a build on that, because I think one of the interesting things is around the power of word of mouth and community, and you know, across all of the social platforms, how you're really harnessing that word of mouth and all of your marketing to drive that kind of credibility around a brand. So yeah, it's bringing it back to the human element, and remember that you've got a human at the end of the process. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that from both of you. Thanks very much. I think it's so key not to forget why all these things are starting to exist and do the ultimate. Let's not lose the art. I really like that.
Yeah.
And that's a lovely way to end our discussion. Can't thank you enough for joining me on, again, this beautiful rooftop with the sun in our eyes. But yeah, thanks both. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No problem. And thank you all very much for listening /watching.